Hello, I'm Herb Lawrence from CHGO White Sox.
And I'm Cody Delmendo from CHGO Cubs.
And this is CHGO Tavern Style. It's presented by Salerno's Pizza. Head on over to the Grand Avenue location. Call 312-666-3444 to make a reservation today. Now, today you would think that we're going to be Cubs and Sox, and of course we're not, because my team sucks and his team's actually kind of good. We're actually share one team that we both love, and it's the Fighting Illini and their men's basketball team. If you know any Illini fan, you know that they're very hyped about March Madness because Illinois is really good right now, but we have a differing opinion about how far and how they will get the job done in the March Madness tournament. Cody, I'm going to give the floor to you. What do you say about the Illini after the loss to Purdue, which is, the number 2 team in the nation, but I think that is a hump that they have never gotten over this year. What say you about Illinois' tournament chances this year?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the loss to Purdue, it wasn't a bad loss, but it was just another added loss to the list of what could have happened or what ifs. And that's discouraging, right? For anyone who doesn't feel good about Illinois going into the Big Ten tournament, let alone NCAA tournament, it's tough. But I will say this, against Marquette, they lost. Coleman Hawkins wasn't healthy for that game. Right. Tennessee's one of the best teams in the country.
You actually went to that game.
I was at that game, and again, it was on the road, SEC school. Like, it was a really good test at a time where I don't think anyone had fully bought in on this team yet. And Illinois hung around. They lost by single digits, and they hung around pretty closely for 30, 35 minutes, even led at halftime of that game. Again, on the road, tough environment to go in and win. So it's not necessarily it's not a bad loss. I don't think it really hurts their tournament resume at all. Their one really good win for sure is against FAU at Madison Square Garden. And then when you get to the Big Ten season, it's tough because the Big Ten stinks this year, right?
They do. Only about 6 teams, unless Iowa finds a way to sneak in by beating Illinois on Sunday.
Right. And so they lost to Purdue twice. They lost by 5 at Purdue at Mackey Arena. They were down double digits, made a huge comeback, loss. But still, it's a loss. Lost to Michigan State on the road, leading with under 7 minutes to go. They blew the game. That's a tough loss. It doesn't hurt their resume, but it could have been a good win on their resume to help them get a better seed. They're probably their best Big Ten win is probably beating Northwestern by 30 or beating Wisconsin. That's it. But they've had some tough losses. I mentioned Northwestern. They went to Northwestern and lost in overtime. Yes. They should have won that game. They missed like 20 layups in that game. Again, should have beat. You can argue that they should have beat Purdue the other night. They led at halftime against the number 2 team in the country. It's just, I keep going back. It's like so many, they should have done this, they should have done that, and they just didn't get it done. So in that aspect, I'm with you. It's hard to project this team to be going to the Final Four, but I do think that they can go to the second weekend this year.
Yeah, I would want them to, because the Illini, I just looked this up, haven't been to the Sweet 16 since the 2005 team.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazingly terrible for this program. This used to be like a bordering blue blood program. Now we're coming right back to where we used to be, where they're at the top of the Big Ten consistently. I think they've been either 1-2 in the Big Ten standings in the last 3 years. And so, yeah, I love what Brad Underwood has done with this program from where it was. He's returned the roar back at the State Farm Center. But the problem with Illinois is the point guard play. They start Ty Rodgers. He's not a point guard. He hasn't even taken a 3 this year, not attempted a 3 at all. And you see the juxtaposition with the number 2 team in the nation where, yeah, you have the best player in basketball with Zach Edey, and that's a cheat code. But Braden Smith, he's, I think, top in assists per game. Whenever you need a shot to be hitting down, like last game where there was 74-71, it was clock running down, hits a 3-pointer right in Terrence Shannon's eye, game's over. Yeah. So the Illini not having a consistent point guard, and Nico Moretti going out with an injury early in his this year kind of hurt and really not got back into the rotation until as of late when they were at, where was it, at Wisconsin, where they did the whole changes. I think that
was the Iowa,
sorry, yeah. The NASCAR
home game
changes.
against the home game against Iowa, sorry.
And so thank you for telling me. But I think that being 300th, I think they're 311th in assists per game is going to hurt them in the tournament. Yes, you need good guard play, and part of that good guard play is finding your teammates. Illini plays way too much isolation basketball. It's good, efficient isolation basketball, but also it's one side of the court. You're not reversing the ball. You're not making that other team work hard on defense. Now, the other day, Tyler Wall was having a fantastic game versus the Illini, offensively and decently, and then Marcus Damas just said, hey, I don't care how well you guard me defensively. You're going to lose because I'm that good. Illini can beat teams just by having Terrence Shannon and Marcus Damas and Coleman Hawkins go off. But when will that happen? When will that all come together? In a tournament setting, it's going to be teams that are ranked, teams that are good. And this year, the Illini are 1-4 versus teams that are ranked. Yes, they've played them tough, and they've not gotten blown out. They've represented themselves well. But in the tournament, who cares? You beat that first team, which will more than likely be a 13 seed going against the Illini's 4 seed. Then you got to play the next game, which is a 5 or a 12. So I'm not too sure the Illini are getting out of that first round.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of spin that, though, is like if they do end up having to face a 1 in that second round, I don't think we'll look at it as a disappointment if they lose. It'll be brutal, and it'll be another year where they don't get to that second weekend. But we'll probably just look back at some of the losses that they had that led them to getting that 4 or 5 seed, and the loss to Penn State that's just unexcusable, losing them at Michigan State. The fact that they couldn't pick up one of these other wins against some of these good teams, you know what I mean? The loss to Maryland at home back in January it's not good. That said, though, like you talk about the point guard problem and all this. The thing is that to me that's not the reason. I don't think that if they don't get to a second weekend, I don't think it's necessarily that. To me, it will be because one of Terrence Shannon, Marcus Damas, or Coleman Hawkins don't show up. They should have won against Purdue if Terrence Shannon just puts up a normal game. That was his worst game of the season.
By far.
By far, right? So I think if those three do their part and then they get, some surprises, whether it's Dane Danger or Guerrier, right? Ty Rodgers does what he does as a whether it's defensively or getting on the offensive boards. I think they're good enough to where they can get to that second weekend. They haven't proved it, and I don't blame anyone for not believing that it can happen. But you can arguably say that this is the best offensive Illini team since the '89 team that went to the Final Four. You can argue that. You can argue at the very least that they're right up there offensively with the 04-05 team, D. Luther and
Darren.
And Darren, thank you. Yes. So, like, the offense is there. The defense has been a question all season, in my opinion, but it did show up against Purdue. And so if they can play that kind of defense and get their offense back on track, I think they can beat anyone in the country, man. I genuinely feel that way.
I do not disagree with you too much, but that is Cody Delmendo from CHGO Cubs. My name is Herb Lawrence from CHGO White Sox, and this has been CHGO Tavern Style presented by Salerno's Pizza.
We all silly like the mayor.